Right, let's have a look at Mother's Vigilante by Alabama Crow, who are a local band who are storming it with their southern rock, metal, fusion, melodic, oh Christ, I don't know what you'd call it. Anyway, I've known Billy for a long time, and I had the pleasure of doing a bit of work on these tracks for them. So a couple of tracks I've done. This one is Mother's Vigilante. Let's just hit into it and see how it sounds. Great track. Straight off the bat, it sounded excellent. The rough mix out of Captain Tom's, where they recorded, was, it already sounded great. There wasn't much work needing done to it. But it's a fairly sort of open orchestration, if you like. It's not crowded and busy, so I wanted every instrument to have its space and be heard. And sitting behind it all is this solid drum beat. So yeah, not much I had to do there. The recording was good. Kick drums out of the studio, nice. So that's, yeah, that was the mics as they came. The only thing I really did was the usual EQ, a bit of compression, and I added a wee bit of body in a sample. So that's the sample, and it just sits in with the kick drum. It's not obviously there, but it's adding a little bit of body. Similar story with the snares. So snare recording was fine. Nice ghost notes on the snare, so I didn't want to kill that. I didn't want to lose that, but I did add just a little bit of body again on samples. So that's a sample. That's a sample, just a bit more attack on that one. But when you put them all together, nice big fat snare, but not losing that kind of roll on the snare drum, that ghost notes. Yeah, nicely played. Yeah, I think overall the drum mix is good. And the addition of the room mic gives it a nice bit of body. So that's the drums on their own, and they're quite forward in the mix. But I think the track calls for that. What else have we got? Yeah, we put a little bit of just room reverb on the drums again, just to pull the whole thing together. And there's just a wee compressor on the drum mix, just to make it kind of glue together. So yeah, no, drums were good, didn't need that much work. Bass is bass. I mean, again, recorded well. In terms of how we used that in the mix, the DI line off the bass. Hold on, I'm just looking at a little bit of something else there. Hold on. Yeah, so I pushed the sort of upper mids a little bit to get a little bit more attack from the bass on the DI recording, just so that it cut through a little bit. And then the mic the amp recording from Tom's again is just a bit fatter, a bit dirtier. So when you put the two of them together, you're covering sort of both ends of the spectrum quite nicely. The only fancy thing I did really with that was I sidechained a compressor, so I keyed a compressor off the kick drum. So anytime the kick drum's hitting, the bass guitar just drops back fractionally. It means that they're not fighting for the same space in the mix. You don't hear it, it just happens. But it controls that sort of busyness at the bottom end, and it means that they're not fighting for the same space. So when you've got the bass and the drums running together, which is the backbone of any the backbone of any good rhythm section, it's tight, it's good. You've still got the clarity of the kick drum, even when the bass is hitting on the exact same beat. Almost like the kick drum provides the attack for the bass notes in that circumstances. Guitars, again, nicely recorded. I didn't do much. That's the clean guitar. So I've split that into two and sort of panned them a little bit. So this on the left has got slightly more of a chorus vibe to it. The right hand side just a bit more sort of high end, bit more percussive sound. And you put the two together and just gives you that width a little bit on that one guitar. Getting into the the lead guitar, or the electric guitar. So this is how it came to me. So that's basically the amp sound. And in areas I took the DI line, which was also recorded, and I reamped that with a slightly heavier sound. And it's not in all the time, but I bring it in and out sort of in a subtle way, just to add energy in certain sections, and again to create that light and shade as the track carries on. So together they sound quite meaty, but like I say, that nice. The gainier guitar isn't there particularly, and I don't think you sort of really pick it out in the mix, but it does add something. Yeah, so in total there's about 3 different electric guitar sounds in there. But again, not fighting for space, and they're just filling in the mix a little bit as and when it needs it. So I would hope when you listen to it, you don't go, oh Christ, there's an extra guitar sound. You shouldn't really, but if it wasn't there, you would know. Keyboards, solid piano. What have I done to this? I've put a little bit of reverb on it because it was just a little tight, little dry sounding. And I've brightened up the top end on it. So when it came to me, it was it just cuts through a little better against the guitars, the percussiveness of the guitars. I think we were losing that strike of the piano. So again, just subtle EQ, not adding much. EQ is always a better thing when you're using it to take stuff away rather than add stuff. But in the context of this, I think it's all worked fairly nicely. So mix-wise, backing track was there. All sitting nicely amongst each other. A couple of wee things that I did like picked up on. So there was one point on the electric guitar where he's just played like a double stop just in between vocals, and he just lets it ring with a bit of vibrato on it. And I thought, that sounds great. The harmonics start kind of shining through a wee bit. So I thought, well, rather than let them decay, I'll just absolutely push that in the mix. So, I mean, I'm adding 6 dBs in there. So as that's decaying naturally, I'm sort of offsetting it. So kind of ramping it up a wee bit. And it only happens once, twice really in context, but it catches your ear just a wee bit and gives the mix a little bit of interest. So I just really like that. And when you put it into the full context of band, still haven't put the vocals in yet. I just really like that bit. Yeah, and then on to Billy's vocals. Now, Billy always kills it on vocals. You can't accuse him of not giving 100%. That's always been the case. So, again, cracking effort, well recorded. Didn't need that much done. And as always, there's a kind of second vocal part almost all the way through.
As time goes by, don't know why, I sit and try not to cry. The one who's gone seems so low.
So again, just let's get the right channel up. Yeah, an 1176. No, it's an LA2A compressor. Classic. There's no much setting to be done on it. It just adds a little warmth and sounds great every time, even if you're not compressing. I like to put one of those on top of the vocals. I also put a Pultec EQ on the master vocal group. Again, it's not doing much in terms of EQ, but it is generating a little bit of, I don't know, whatever we call it, snake oil, something magic. So it, yeah, vocals is great. Again, didn't need that much, well recorded. Kudos to Captain Toms who did the recording. What I did do was, what's nice about the way the vocals laid out in this, there are gaps between each line, and they were just screaming out for someone to be in them. So he sort of, the song tempted me into just doing this kind of call and response thing. So I time shifted the main vocal, thinned it right out, and gave it a kind of telephone or megaphone kind of lo-fi quality. I also put like a rotary speaker effect on it, so like a Leslie cabinet. So there are occasions, and again that's sidechained as well on a compressor, so it only comes up when the other vocals aren't there. It stops it getting kind of muddy and clouded. But you will hear when the main vocal stops, just this little wee echo creeping through afterwards. So an example of it is here.
Now I'm strong for you, my mom.
So the trick with stuff like that is to just find just exactly the right sweet spot in the mix for it. And I think we find that. So yeah, you add the vocals in context, and yeah, I should probably mention the superb guitar work as well. Classy, not overplayed. Okay, so I've muted the vocals. Bear with me. it's just that sort of third vocal just subtly sitting there.
Some call me a vigilante. Try to rock your body soul, 'cause I ain't here for myself.
And just that hit there, that's a section of where that sort of heavier guitar kind of creeps in a wee bit. Just filling out the mix a wee bit. Another bit here where I think we're in a guitar solo or just coming out of a guitar solo. Oh no, we're not. It's the outro chorus. So.
Try to rock your body soul, 'cause I ain't here for myself.
So just hit it, pull it back again in the mix, but it's cool.
Try to rock your body soul, 'cause I ain't here for myself.
Just wee hits, and I've done the same with the drums at times, sort of just push the level just a bit, just to go right, boom, I'm in charge for the second. Then it settles back down into the mix. So, yeah. I think the only other thing I did, apart from the wind, which I was crying out for, and the crow, obviously, at the start, I'll show you that. So, to me, when I played this song first time, I just heard, that's what I expected to hear at the start, because it's kind of cowboy vibe, deserty kind of wind. There's something haunting about a crow, and I liked it, and he's only on the right hand side, and I don't know why, I've just put him there. And then again, lo-fi run through of the first riff, just that first guitar line, and then in full mix. So we're kind of channeling Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd a little bit there. Only other bit of production really was the very last vocals. So Billy absolutely ripping it on the outro, and I thought, yeah, let's give it that little bit of, let's give it that wee vocal effect again. So the wee hidden vocal that I have coming back and forth sort of all the way through the track, that lo-fi thing, I thought, okay, cool, but there's one line that he absolutely just goes for it towards the end. And I thought, let's do that. Give it that lo-fi effect, but it's much more front in the mix. It's not hiding at all. It's stark. So this is just a vocal.
'Cause I ain't here for myself. No. I'm here for my health. Yeah. Yes, you show me.
Probably worth mentioning the awesome wee guitar lick in there as well.
Yes.
And then we're back into that very last line. The wind comes in, the crow doesn't. We're all mellowing out again. Vibro slap. Classic. Resisted the temptation to do the crazy train left-right pan on it. But there we go. That's Mother's Vigilante, Alabama Crow. Cool track. Quite different to the last one I did, Oblivion, which is it's on iTunes or whatever you get your download, Spotify, Christ knows, in your local record shop. Probably not. Yeah, no, good fun. Well done, Alabama Crow. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to play with it.